Hey, how you been? It's been a year since we started the podcast. It's been a good year for the most part. We've had some struggles personally, had some good times, some bad times, as every year is. But just kind of reflecting on this endeavor, as we'll call it. Like, it's not what I want it to be yet, but I've learned a lot doing it in the last year. And that's kind of what I want to go over is what I've learned about myself from doing this. And I think that's a big thing anytime you're doing anything is to learn, like you're going to learn about you. You're going to learn about a lot of other stuff too. But the big thing is to learn about you and what you need and what things are going on. So one of the things I learned is I'm really good at starting things. Like I've got a lot of things I've done in life that I've gotten started, but never quite taken them to the finish line. I think a big part of it is I learn what I wanted to learn and I move on. So I don't commit to like a long-term goal over things the way that people would normally. It's usually like I get bored kind of easy and I just seem to move on more than I should. So we're trying to get that fixed. We're trying to fix that for the last decade and a half or and really go from being good at things to being semi great. I think that's where we're trying to head. So, trying to get better at following things through till to the real end and take them as far as they could. So I don't think I'm reaching my full potential. Another thing is I found that I struggle with consistency. And I think a lot of us do struggle with consistency because consistency is hard because things get boring. We all love that excitement. I talked about the starting, love the excitement of starting like rom-coms. We all want the new uh, things, but consistency is what makes us great at things. So being consistent allows for us to have that compound interest. So you have that compound interest and it allows you to really get great. It's great to clean your house once, but if you don't do it consistently, you're not going to live in a clean environment. The other thing I found out about this podcast is it's harder than it looks. It looks really easy when you see the polished, the Joe Rogans, the you name any of the shows that are on. They make it look really, really easy. But what you don't see is all the stuff that goes on behind the camera. You really only see what the editor allows you to see. You don't get to see all the rest of it. Like, maybe even the only time you really get to see it is, if a reporter gets hit by a car during a live shot, you'll get to see that. But even then, they'll cut away. You're like, oh, we didn't want to show that. That's a little bit too much. But you'll never really get to see what goes on in the meeting rooms of your favorite show, or you'll get this. I think that's why we love the let me try to speak the behind the scenes things. They'll show you the mess ups and the bloopers. We love blooper reels, but you're not going to see those in the finished product. So it's a lot harder to get things from thought to cohesive thought and into something that's actually watchable or listenable. And the other thing I learned is it's not as hard as I make it. Sometimes I try to get the thought that I'm having and and you can see it I tried to be too perfect and too polished and all this nonsense. Didn't let thoughts simmer and let them be, then get them out because I was trying to be perfect, but I was trying to find that perfect cut, that polished guy that I'm just not. I'm not that guy. Be nice to be, but I was being me, but I wasn't really being as true to myself. And that made it harder, but it's not as hard as I make it. Like if I can get the thought out, sometimes I have to do it in front of the camera because otherwise it's too scripted. It's just not real. It's not what I wanted it to be. I also find that I procrastinate out of fear. So I will find reasons not to start it, or oh, this thought isn't good enough, or and it caused larger inconsistencies because something would happen and I would have to stop, and I would miss an episode, and then I was like, oh, I've got to come back with a bang, and I would just put so much pressure on myself that it didn't work out, or that what I wanted to do, I didn't have clear in my head. So we're going to work on these things to get them. There's that word again. Start a counter. Maybe we have a counter by now. I want to be clear in what I'm saying. I want to be of some use. I don't want to waste your time. But there were thoughts that just didn't get to the camera because I would procrastinate, and then they would leave because, again, it's named My Crowded Head because it just won't. The the thoughts just keep coming. They won't stop. And we're, again, really great at starting a thought, but not finishing. And sometimes I got a comment about, oh, you cut too much. Sometimes it's the way I think. I'll start something and then just stop and not finish the thought because I've moved on. I've just moved on in my head to something else came rushing in, or I saw something shiny. I don't know if it's whatever it is that they're going to diagnose me with. I'm sure there's something there, but that's for a professional. I'm kind of over that stuff. I found I have a love for learning. I was making training videos for work, and I wanted them to be easy to watch, and I wanted them to be like exciting and not like a lot of training videos that I've watched are kind of boring and kind of corny. It's hard not to be corny in a training video, but I wanted them to be better. I wanted to deliver the content and the message in a way that was watchable. So we had a problem with people actually using the videos. So we would make the concepts that we needed, but people wouldn't watch them because they were hard to watch and hard to sit through in the courses that we were putting on for our people. And I wanted them to make them better. So I started to watch a lot of YouTube videos on how to put together, how to film it and how to light it and which I still don't have down yet. This one's probably a little too bright. And you'll see we're trying 2 cameras because we're trying to learn. We're trying a multi-camera setup, and you'll see the difference in the lighting and as we switch between scenes if I can get it to work. You'll know by now. You've already seen it by now if you've watched the video. But if you're on audio, hey, it worked out perfectly if you're on audio. It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, it's so amazing. You should go over to the YouTube channel and check it out. We'll put a link in there. You should check it out. It's amazing. Really, really amazing, I hope. And then the other thing that I learned is that more people listen than I thought. I really thought that this would get ones and ones of views. Thanks, Mom. I knew Mom would watch it. But after that, I really wasn't sure who would watch it. And I'd connected with friends that I hadn't seen in a decades, childhood friends and they had brought it up to me. And I was just amazed that they had listened or watched however they had consumed it. And that was really amazing to me. And for anyone who's following me for any reason, I'm really appreciative, and I hope I'm bringing value to you because I'm doing this because I like it and I want to help people like me to maybe not go through the struggles I went through. Um, or maybe go, hey, if that old man can do it, I can do it because anybody could do it better than that guy. But to people chase their dreams and to not you get one trip around this whole you get a lot of trips around the sun, hopefully, but you only get one stint on the planet and you should spend it. Now, you shouldn't be frivolous with it. You should value it, but you should also take chances and not, you know, going down a mountain in a shopping cart kind of chances, unless that's your thing. But should take risks, but don't calculate too much. Okay? Have that love of learning. Realize that you're going to learn, by picking yourself up and trying over again. Just give it a whirl. And then I also learned that even though you want something to be a certain way, we talked about the starting and we talked about the struggle, and I'm looking at my notes. And we talked about it's harder than it looks, but it's not as hard as I make it. I talked about the procrastination and my love of learning, but you have to give yourself time to become what you want to become. You have to get yourself on that path and on that journey and be okay with it not being what you want to yet. But the only way it's going to get to be what you want it to be is if you be consistent and continue to grow, to learn a little bit at a time, keep chugging forward, keep moving. And as long as you do that and you're doing it for yourself and you're doing it for the right reasons, it'll work out the way it needs to work out. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, all it takes is hard work. Hard work doesn't always pay off the way we want it to. But the learning that you put in will lead to opportunities. I've had a lot of jobs that didn't work out the way I wanted to. And I've had a lot of things that I loved that I stopped because I had gone as far, like my Marine Corps career, I was hurt and I thought I'd gone as far, like my job would change, but it would get farther away from what I want it to be. So that's the reason I left anyway. If you do all those things and hopefully a year in, imagine what you could learn in a year, putting in hard work and doing something because you want to learn how to do it. I've learned a lot about myself and a lot about putting together a story. Don't take this one as case in point, but the last thing that I learned is to have fun. Like, have fun with it and make the best whatever it is you can make. If you're writing a paper for your college class, write the best paper you can at that point. Do the best you can, put in the work. And if you pass, you pass. And if you don't, at least you know that you gave it a good try. And then really reflect. Don't take a year to reflect, but reflect on each one of them and have a good time. And I want to thank you if you've listened to just this episode or if you've listened to all 23 of them. I'm sorry. Yeah, they weren't all good, but I learned a lot. And if you listen to one and you haven't been around in a while and you listen to this one, keep coming back. I'm going to keep trying to get better. It works out. But love to have you on the journey. And I hope I added value to you. And I hope as I get better, I hope that they say you can't pour from an empty cup. And I'm going to keep trying to fill mine and turn it into a picture and try to pour out as much of it as I can to those who want it. Thanks for being around. We'll see you in the next one.